To the bottom left of the map, we have the third player for NS Hosa today. We have another Protoss player, and this is
NS Hosa, Sun!
Sage was not able to get any wins. Seal stepped up and performed so well, took down 4 Incredible Miracle players, and the last man standing to the top right of Crossfire in the blue color is the Terran player.
I am happy!
And he's got to be happy about that last win. It was well hard fought, but that's a cool drawing. Sell it there. But he does have a long road ahead of him nonetheless. Playing a little bit defensively, putting his barracks at the top of his ramp just in case.
I really want to see what Happy is going to do here, and it's going to be very interesting because of what we just said. This map is definitely a map where you can get very, very aggressive on one base as a Terran. 1-1-1 builds are very strong. Just getting those Banshees into play, try to harass the Protoss player and kill some of his economy, then go for the siege tanks, marine support, and lay siege into the natural by using the high ground to your advantage. A lot of Protoss players rush to Thors with a little bit of immortal support in order to fend this off, but with good timings, a good positioning, it's very, very hard to beat it. So Choya was able to pull it off. He was able to win against MMA on this map in the match between FXO and Slayers, but still, it's very, very difficult. So choosing this map, Sun has to be very, very comfortable in order to make this happen. The SCVs and the probe, the scouting workers just miss each other in the middle of the map. There's no high-fiving here.
Indeed, and yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to see them not really checking around too much, but never mind. I was thinking that Son's probe was going up to the top left to proxy something, but he's just coming in from the side to scout. Gets shut down.
No, at this point, the only thing that he could proxy would be a Stargate at some point in order to start a Void Ray aggression with a little bit of, gateway support. The expansion for Happy is dropped immediately, and we have him now also with the reactor, so he only shows his opponent. Was he actually able to sneak into the base? He was not. So at this point, even if he scouts the gas, he does not know what exactly happens. The SCVs have been pulled out of the refinery. He starts with the barracks and the reactor in order to get the Marines, but transitions into the expansion nonetheless. That was on the screen, by the way, now that he pulled out the SCVs.
Oh, doesn't get up the ramp. Never mind. We just saw a probe die.
Yeah, doesn't get any scouting information.
Doesn't get any scouting information. Doesn't even see the reactor. But we're going to see an expansion from Son regardless.
Oh, Sun has to expand here. That's the thing that you have to do on this map. The problem that you face is that the Terran player can build the expansion on the high ground. So when you don't expand, you kind of have to play a one base all in. Or at least you have to attack on one base and put on some pressure in order to force your opponent to not focus on his economy too much. If you wait too long and you don't put up aggression, then you are suddenly in a position where your opponent just lifts down the command center, saturates both of his expansions, and has a much better economy. If you then start to expand, it's already way too late.
Yep.
You are so far behind. So expanding and then using those two gateways in order to save your expansion, in order to secure it, is definitely what you need to do here.
Robotics facilities on the way now for Son. Just at the top of his ramp there, so it's a nice strategic position. So if it does come down to any kind of timing where a Colossus needs to come out at the perfect moment, it'll be right nearby, handy, and no scouting information available for, well, I shouldn't say no scouting information, because we did see that Happy scouted the expansion, so he knows it's not any kind of one base all in.
We have the robotics, the usual transition on maps like this. You need the observer in case there's some kind of Banshee play going on. If you don't have any detection, you take quite a risk. We've seen some Protoss players gamble a bit, not going for the robotics at all, but starting with Twilight Council, for example. But this time we have a chrono boost on the observer so that he can get scouting information, knows what's going to happen. And, well, at this point in time, obviously, also for the Terran, quite important that he secures the expansion. We even have a missile turret in order to give some detection. And the pylon has been scouted to the top left. Nice. Good job here by Happy, obviously.
Yep, just checking around for any kind of pylons around. He did find one. Marine was rallied up into the expansion. May still go ahead and check that. But yeah, I mean, we're just kind of, whoa, what is... Okay, never mind. He's sending a lot of forces up to the top left here. May want to save that pylon. He did a warp in of Zealots in order to do so. And we might even see some pressure here from San. Happy has already prepared with one bunker. He's now making another bunker, one other bunker. He's got a turret there as well. So he's kind of playing a very safe strategy here, trying to prepare for anything.
Sun is on 3 gates now, so on 3 gates you can apply a bit of pressure. That's what we usually see, and just poking a bit. You don't have to overdo it, you shouldn't. But there are some Terran players who are too greedy and are not really prepared for this, especially with the bunkers in place. And well, you need to be sure that you can actually defend it. But there are only 2 sentries in the mix, so not a lot. Just trying to force Happy to build a few more units to be a little bit more defensive that he wants to.
And
only
yeah,
poking.
we do see San poking down the ramp there. A third bunker is being made now for Happy, by the way. He's a little bit worried about... He doesn't know... He hasn't scouted at all. He has no idea. He hasn't scanned. He hasn't got an SCV in the base. He has no idea how many gateways there are right now. So for all he knows, there's some kind of big 7-gate push coming. So that's why he's playing so defensive. Obviously, he hasn't seen a ton of units, so he can expect it's probably not 7 gateways. But, oh, we saw a drop supply there. We're happy. Just getting a little supply locked.
Sun is now starting to get more gateways. He's trying to focus a little bit on these upgrades already with the +1 armor upgrade, also researching, and of course charge, which is just such an important upgrade. I don't really think that we have the +1. Do we have +1 attack already? No, we don't. So he's focusing on the armor upgrades here, which also indicates that he's trying to play a lot more gateway heavy, especially with the +2 armor and the Guardian Shield in combination. Marines don't do a lot of damage to Protoss units, so a very nice strategy here, especially since he is going for the Templar Archive now. I really like this. If you play with Colossi, you try to give a little bit of an advantage to your attack upgrades because you want to dish out as much damage as possible. But playing this gateway heavy, the upgrade pattern that he chooses makes a lot of sense. And this is a little bit of what we've seen by parting.
Yeah, it's definitely very smart considering he's going for that Templar tech. And he's gone up to 6 gateways in addition to that robotics facility, by the way.
Happy knows about this.
Actually, 7 gateways now. So he is going to 2-base this pretty hardcore, I'm imagining.
Happy knows exactly what he's doing, so he saw the Templar Archive. At this point, we don't have Storm yet, so he's just using a few Archons. But charge has been done, +1 armor is done as well. And obviously the follow-up for Happy has to be the Ghost Academy. He does not need Vikings at this position, but he needs a Ghost Academy. And, well, this is exactly what he builds now. And
oh, but this drop is coming in the back. It's going to get denied.
Needs to be careful. I don't think that Happy should commit here.
But he's going to keep going. He's going to keep distracting him at the very least.
He's trying to
dangerous, though, especially with Templar around that could feedback those medevacs. Feedback in an injured medevac could be death for every unit inside.
Medivacs is the one thing that Happy can produce right now. If the Protoss chooses to go Colossi, then at the same time he forces the Terran player to play to get Vikings, so he can't afford to get too many of his Medivacs. We have now a Möbius Reactor researching. The Ghosts are the perfect choice, but here, trying to set up a flank. Needs to be careful with his Zealots though. Can't really attack his opponent. So far, no Storm upgrade.
Interesting. Yeah, he's focusing entirely on Archons with that Archives.
We'll get it soon.
He needs it. He's going to need it before too long.
At the bottom right, we have another attempt to get another base, to get a 3rd base now for San, but it's already blocked. There's an engineering bay being built. And now the robotics bay. If he wants to really afford all this, if he does not really use Storm, then he can definitely he can play it on 2 base. But if you want to have Storm, if you want to not only have Archons but High Templars, the upgrades, double upgrades. Right now he only has 1 Forge, but if he wants to get the double upgrade and already also the Colossi, he needs the 3rd base. That's not something you can afford on 2 bases, especially if you want to bank up a lot of resources so that you can remux on gateway units when you lose an engagement.
Yeah, and I mean, this could catch Happy off guard, this tech switch back to Colossus. If he doesn't see it coming, then, you know, a couple Colossus thrown into the mix when all he has is Ghosts could be deadly. They could do a lot of damage. Cloak is being upgraded, personal cloaking. for the ghosts is on the way, so he'll be able to cloak those ghosts so they won't be able to be hit as they go into EMP, although there are some observers on the map.
The first Colossi being built now, the expansion at the bottom right
observer.
is started, and we have extended thermal lens. So a few Archons getting the observers. I would not be surprised to see the upgrade for Storm as soon as the base finishes at the bottom right. He needs the gas, the 2 assimilators.
I mean, I think his plan is to just go into Colossus here. It doesn't look like he's going to be getting Storm. He's made all of his Templar into Archons.
Upgrade.
Yeah, he doesn't have any actual Templar on the map right now, so he's going to switch into Colossus. The
He can't
first
afford it
Colossus
now.
is
He
out.
doesn't have the gas.
Right.
But on 3 bases, he will.
And
There's already, you see, there's already the Forge, the second one. So now he can start with double upgrading.
Cloak is about to finish here. He's trying to force his way up this ramp. The 1 Marine got in, which was able to force the sentry back. So he's going to get up this ramp. This is a crucial moment. The first Colossus is out already. Thermalance is 20 seconds, 30 seconds from completing though.
EMPs are also quite strong here because of all those bottleneck positions that we have.
Yes.
EMPs and storms. All those area of effect damage spells and units can take down an army. It's all about positioning here in Crossfire.
Keep in mind that the EMP only does 100 shields. It only takes off 100 shields. So it's going to take 3 EMPs to completely remove the shields from those Archons. Even if he takes an EMP, he won't be completely nullified.
Both players about to max out here.
San does not want to engage in that small choke point. The ghosts are cloaked. They've all got a ton of energy. He's scanning, trying to track him down. There are no observers in the area. If he can get a good set of EMPs off on that whole army. The force fields go off too late. EMPs on everything. Everything gets EMP'd. Most of the army has no shields. The stim goes off, but he's not in the best position to take advantage of this. And he does not have... No, he's got 1 sentry with enough energy for force field. So he can force field that ramp 1 more time, and that is it.
At this point we have Dark Shrine coming up, and now that he spotted the Colossi is also going for the Vikings and +1 attack. The Zealot at the top left is trying to take down a few of these mules, and he did not have an observer in the last engagement. He was actually in a position where he could have killed every single ghost, but he did not have detection.
Yeah, he's not making that mistake again. He's got an observer above the army right now. And here he goes in. He might try and get some damage done. Needs to be careful. Vikings pelting away at the retreating Colossus. Now he goes in with the Zealots, but he's in a choke point. An epic concave for Happy, slaughtering the Zealots as they funnel into the small choke. The Colossus is doing damage, but it gets taken out by the Vikings. Happy with an absolute annihilation of San's forces. Why, Kaldor? Why did he engage into that small choke point? That was the worst place for him to engage.
I have no idea.
That was an epic fail by... Oh my god. San just threw away his entire force on that small choke point.
There was no reason to attack
There was
into
none.
this right there. And, well, he didn't even research Storm. With all the minerals and all the gas that he had, he never got Storm. And Storm is just something that you need in this position.
GG.
You need to split the Templars, obviously, and try to evade these snipes, but at the same time,
What was he thinking?
he missed so many opportunities, and this was just suiciding into a bottleneck position with his entire army.
He picked the exact worst place to engage, and he decided to engage on that position. That was... I mean, did you see that? Happy's forces had about 6 times the surface area that Sans did. It was just an absolute massacre.
This didn't make any sense. He had a nice macro game going. He was on 3 bases. He had nice upgrades. He had the gas. He didn't even research. He didn't even research the Storm. And with the Storm, this is exactly what you try to achieve, is to lure your opponent into a position where you can make use of Storms and where you can make use of the Colossi. At the same time, with the Blink upgrade, he is able to just make sure that the Vikings don't get too many kills. Just blink behind the Vikings, beneath the Vikings, snipe them down, and use the Storm. Split the Templars a little bit so that the Ghosts are not able to snipe all of them. But he didn't do anything on this. This was suiciding. This was not... Happy didn't play bad in this game by any means, but the end of the match was decided because San made a decision that was...
Well, I think we can see why San hasn't been in GSL for several months, because if he's making decisions like that in a macro game,
I don't know what happened
I don't know.
there.
I mean, obviously he played a very good game overall. You're right. I mean, sometimes I don't want to give him too much fault for making one bad decision at the end that ended the game. Everyone does that every once in a while, but that was just. I just don't know what he was thinking.
Also not a huge fan. I mean, you can go for the Archons, but I'm not a huge fan of getting so many of them. He had 5, I think, in the end, and the problem is, it is crossfire. There are so many rams, single-filed rams, choke points. Archons make a lot of sense when you are, for example, on Entombed Valley and you have a battle in the middle of the map, or on Antigua, or whatever, where you can just flank your opponent. Then you also have the Zealots with the charge that charge in and that fan out. You can go in with the Archons. You have the second row with the Colossi, and you can storm and everything. But on this map, you have to rely, in my opinion, more on other units. Immortals make getting Archons, but 5 of them? I don't know. They just clump up. They clump up the entire time, and they block the entrance suddenly. So you have this position where the Terran player also can use EMPs, and everything that would emerge out on the other side of the choke point just gets killed by the entire force of the buying units.
I gotta say that I do at least like Son's decision to go for. He went for the Archon tech, the lots of Zealots, that kind of thing, forcing Happy into Ghost play, and then he tried to make a switch back out. If there had been a point where he'd had like 2 or 3 Colossus with Thermal Lance and Happy didn't know about it, then that could have been the other way around, where Son would have done the slaughtering, but he saw the robotics bay tech a little bit earlier. He was able to get out a couple Vikings, and since he didn't have any Stalkers, 4 Vikings was enough as well in some of those initial battles. So it was a good strategy, I think, overall by Son. It was a good idea trying to trick Happy up, but who is NS Hosa going to send out next is the question to deal with Happy.
On this map, I would kind of expect the Terran player now.
That's a good point. We're going to find out right now. Is it going to be Jockji, or will it be someone else? They've got a couple spots left, and it is going to be Jockji.
That's the only choice that makes sense on dual side. You don't want to send out a Protoss on dual side. At the same time, the Zerg player, depending on who it is, might be able to take on Happy. But why send out a Zerg right now? There are better maps for Zerg against Terran, and at the same time, there's also the problem that he already defeated Seal, and his matchup against Zerg is his best. So sending a Terran player out is the choice there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And then they still have that one last chance. Even if Happy manages to beat Jockji, NS Hosa will still have 1 player left to try and snipe him at the end. But man, Happy got 2 wins in a row against some very strong players, defeating Seal, defeating Son. Although Son kind of defeated himself, to be honest with you. But will Jockji, the GSL champion, be able to pull it off? That is the question. Will be GSL champion for another week. So we get a new one. Wait, what am I talking about? Never mind.
TBT.
I just totally confused myself. I was thinking about the schedule and I was thinking about the GSTL finals, and I was like, wait a minute, no. We already had GSL finals.
Well, we have a TBT coming up now. And the thing with Jockji is he won a GSL season, which is remarkable, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, most of the GSL champions that we've seen so far, one of the things they had all in common were that they were really dominating for quite a while, not only one season. With Jockji, it's the problem that he's an amazing player, but he hasn't shown all these stable results that we've seen from other players that were able to take a title. So I don't want to say he has to prove himself. This would be crazy to say about a GSL champion, but at the same time, he has to show that he still is on the same level, in the same shape that he was when he took this GSL title. So he has also to prove himself in the TBT, which is, by the way, also his weakest matchup with a 55% win ratio.
Still very strong in that matchup, though.
Yeah, and he's definitely a champion, there's no doubt about it, but he's just not on the same level as, for example, an MMA or MVP.
Right. Definitely, but look at this map percentage. Jockji, 91% win rate on the map dual side. This is his expert play. This is his home territory. We're going to find out if he can seal the deal that Seal could not here at the GSTL
things that I don't like about these statistics is we have no idea how many games and in which matchups were actually played.